and a common question I get asked by parents and coaches, hey, is my kid ready to transition to polyester strings? That's a complex answer. So I'm going to try and simplify it for you. Typically, starting off, if they're 15 years or older, that's a time where you can start to experiment without having to think. Under that, it becomes really important to understand how often they're playing, have they had any injuries, and what is their playing level. So I'd only really start to consider it if these key criteria are met. First is a performance junior, so among their top peers, so they might be playing national or state-based tournaments. That's the first box we need to tick. The second box is that they're technically sound, so they're getting coached 2 to 3 times a week. And the last part is more of a to be mindful of, is if they're ticking those 2 boxes, their training load is going to be very high. So this is where it becomes extremely important to get the right polyester string. So when we're talking about polyesters, transitioning the kids to a polyester, we're looking for strings, which we classify in our lab as less than a dynamic stiffness of less than 200 pounds per inch. That would be a soft polyester. So things like a Poly Tour or Yonex Poly Tour Air, things like a head Lynx touch, okay? That's comparative to a dynamic stiffness of say 250 pounds per inch, which we see in our more common polyesters in Luxilon Alu Power, Babolat RPM Blast, or even lesser extent, but Yonex Poly Tour Pro, which is the 3 most common strings in the marketplace and used on tour. So the reason we need to focus on those softer strings is it will dramatically reduce the amount of impact that goes back through the strings and the racket onto the player's body.